Hello everyone. This is another video I've been wanting to do as well. So the one that I just did and demonstrated um, was for how to retrieve a particular version of a file or directory. This one is how to automate or at least semi-automate your backups. I think you'll find this interesting and useful. So let's begin. The first thing we want to do is we will call um, a prepared file that we created that will invoke the commands that we normally do in the git bash command prompt. But instead of doing that, all we'll do is pull in the file and then everything will be done for us other than actually making the commit comment. Because you always want to, for the most part, unless you're doing something specifically that all you're doing is just backing up. If you're going to have if you're doing any commits like that, you want to make sure you have comments associated with those commits. All right, so um, you'll notice in the left-hand window there that I'm going to change directory CD, in the right-hand window. Take a look at my present working directory, PWD. You see that I'm in C, Web Dev Repos Classes, DIS. Again, that stands for Directed Independent Study. It's for a class I'm teaching this fall, 2019. And I don't want to be there in this particular directory because I'm going to invoke this source command. And those of you who had me for database courses, 3784 and well, even 2780, if you had me for 2780, 3784, 3781, you know that we invoke this command uh, quite a bit. And all that is saying is that we want to pull in this file. What's in that file? Well, I'll show you in a second. But right now, I want to make sure that we go to the directory that contains this file. And so what we want to do is cd space tilde. The tilde means that we want to go to the home directory. From the home directory, we want to go to app data and then roaming. So let's do that. I'm going to put that in a buffer, hit shift enter, or I'm sorry, shift insert, and you can see that I'm now in roaming, and I'll do pwd, and you can see there is my present working directory, the entire absolute path. All right, now why did we go there? We went there because this is the file that I will be showing here shortly. And notice I have other similarly named files. These are all backup files. There's one for my Emacs. There's one for my 4368. Now, truthfully, just so that you know, you could put the code I'm going to show you into one file for all of these. So if you want to back up all of your um, repos, you could put all of the code into just one file. I don't like doing that per se myself because one, I don't, then you, no matter what repo that you're working on, you're going to have to invoke that one file and then kind of rifle through it. Now, I automated that process, so it's not too arduous, but I still like doing it individually. And that way, I could actually call one of these backup files rather than my main backup file, which is this one right there. You could do, and I'm going to show this file here shortly. But still, this backup all, what it's doing is it's making calls to each one of my individual files here. And again, I'll show that to you. Right now, let's focus on backup underscore LIS4369 underscore Python. Now, mind you, that's a course I'm teaching right now. I taught it in a configuration where it was .NET. As you could see right here, based upon this backup file, this is Python. But truthfully, the Python course that I'm teaching right now is a multifarious course. It's not just Python. I'm teaching. We're discussing R, data visualization. Of course, distributed version control systems, statistics. We're doing some statistics in there, the data visualization. the students really like it a lot because they can see the data and what it looks like. It's easier to represent and make comparisons that way. So again, my 4369 now in its current iteration is Python and R and data visualization statistics, as well as comparing the um, the two different technologies, that is Python and R, and how they can be used um, for different purposes. You may want to use Python for something, R for something else, and we do that comparison in this class. Well, let's take a look at the file, that backup file, and what it actually look like. Well, those of you know Bash scripting, um, it's just a Bash script. That's all it is. So here's some comments. Lines 1, 2, and 3 are comments, and how you make a comment in a Bash script is just using the pound symbol, or the what they call the hash symbol, and then a space, and whatever follows it is just a comment. So I got there a link for you if you want to use that for reading user input. I actually referenced a number of different sites to put this tutorial together for you. So what happens? Well, this is what happens. First, I have to make a call to this file. So I would do this command like this: backup backslash period space backup lis 4369 underscore python.md, and then insert that. Um, Let me back it up first. Let me put it in my buffer. And then shift insert right there. Okay. Now, mind you, I have to be careful because I have to be in my roaming subdirectory. Why? Because that's where this file is located. There's my roaming subdirectory. Here's the file. If I didn't do that, it wouldn't work. But with that said, here's the contents of that file. So you'll see that the first thing after the comments, let me make this a little bit larger. The first thing after the comments is this line right here. And what is that doing? Well, that's actually going to my Python subdirectory right here. It's going to my Python subdirectory inside of WebDev repos classes. Now, the beauty about this is no matter how many files or subdirectories I modified, added, or deleted, it's going to keep track of that. Now, there is a caveat here. Because I'm using git space add space period, it's not going to track my deleted files and folders. And I don't like tracking that. If you like tracking that, you can do that with another command, the git add command, but not the way it is right here. So you can just do an internet search on git add, and you could see how you could track everything if you want to. Personally, I don't like to clutter up my history, my git history. And that's why I use git space add space period, because it does not track any deleted files or directories. And I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. So what does it do? Let's go back to uh, this MD file. Now notice this is a MD file. We're using markdown syntax here, right? You can see that this is markdown syntax, but I'm including bash commands in here. This is a bash script. And the first thing it's doing is changing the directory to go to my Python directory, because that's what I want to do. I want to back up everything here in this particular directory, everything, every one of my files, updates, inserts, but not deletes. Then what I want to do, I want to see the present working directory to make sure that it is changed to the correct directory. Then I want to invoke this command, git space add space period. Then here comes some magic. Okay, what am I doing here? This command you're used to. even this command you're used to, the git commit, but not like this. And then finally git push you're used to as well too. And then all of you, I told you about git remote space -v. I'll show you why that's important as well too. But present working directory, git add. Now we come into something new. Now what we're doing here in line 13, line 12 is just a comment, is we're creating a variable called timestamp, and we're getting the current date and time. And you could see in the comments here, that's what the %d does. It gets the current current date. In the format is 2-digit month, 2-digit day, / 2-digit year, and then the %t is the current time, and 2-digit hour, colon, 2-digit minute, 2-digit second in 24-hour format. And it's storing that in the variable called timestamp. Okay, what's next? Well, we're going to prompt the user, you, to add a comment, right? Because all of our commits have to have comments, but this is going to be made dynamic because we're forcing the user on the fly to do a comment, and then we're going to save that comment. So what do? We do the read command. The -p, by the way, if we didn't do the -p, it would go to the next line, and the user would have to add the comment on the next line. I don't like doing that. I like to have the user add, their data on the same line to which I provide the prompt. So you'll see here in a second. So this prompt will read, enter commit comment, and there's a space there before the user can enter the comment, but it's on the same line. It doesn't go to the next line. Okay, that's what that -p does. Okay, next, look at what's going on here. We take, and by one more thing, timestamp is a variable, and comment is a variable. So whatever the user enters using the read command and keeping it on the same line, whatever the user enters to this prompt, enter commit comment, it's going to be stored in this variable. Okay, that's fine and dandy, but what are we going to do with that? Well, guess what? Here's our git commit command. And what are we doing? It's just like you normally would do with the git commit command, only we're passing the data in the variable timestamp, colon, and then adding the comment that the user entered. So the commit comment. So again, here's our timestamp variable. Here is our commit comment that we want that the user is going to enter. And then we store the comment with a timestamp. Now, some of you may say, well, doesn't that commit show up as a date already? It does show up as a date, but I want the comment with a timestamp, and I'll show you the difference here when we go to Bitbucket. Finally, what I like to do always is make sure that my fetch and pull, I know exactly where it's fetching and pushing from. And by the way, if it's fetching, it's also pulling from the same path. Fetch and push aren't exactly the same command, but they're very similar. So fetch and pull are very similar. But git remote -v will show where it's fetching or pulling and where it's pushing to. Fetching or pulling from and pushing to. So that's why I have that command, and then finally push it, and then here is one other command you need to be aware of. cd space hyphen. Okay, cd space hyphen. Now why we need that is, first of all, this bash script is going to cd to another directory. It's going to cd from here, from this particular directory, roaming. It's going to cd to here, to this particular Python directory, and that's fine. But I want to back up my other files as well too, using these backup files, and they're centrally located in my roaming subdirectory. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to return back to that particular directory, as you'll see here in a second when I run this. And let's do that right now. So here it is. I'm going to hit enter. I take that back. There's one other thing I want to show, and that is the actual, the actual README file, which is right here. And I'm going to modify it. I'm just going to put test. Okay, so test, save it, put it off to the side there, and we'll see what happens with my command right now. So here we are. I'm going to call up that backup file. Just so that you know, I am, there it is. I'm invoking this command right there. So I pull in that source file, the backup MD file, and there it is. First of all, what did it do? Well, it showed the present working directory. How so? How did it do that? Well, it did it like this. It did it right here. It shows that present working directory. There's a command. The next, it did get space add space period. The next command that it did is it got that the date and timestamp and put it into that variable. Now we're right here. We're reading the value that the user is going to enter. And I'm just going to say here, notice the space, by the way. Notice that space right there. I'm going to say updated README file. Okay, I'm just going to do that. All right. So what did it do next? Well, it committed it with the timestamp and the comment that I provided. And now what it's showing is the remote fetch and push pass. I told you I want to make sure that I know where I'm fetching or pulling and pushing, where I'm fetching and pulling from and where I'm pushing to. And that's the correct path. So I got that. Now, next, what it's going to do, it's going to ask me for my password. So I'm going to type that in. And what it did was it actually pushed it. Okay? And guess what? It returned back with this cd space hyphen command. It returned back, as you can see right here, back to my roaming directory. And you want to double check that. All I have to do is pwd. And there it is. I'm back to roaming. And now I can invoke any of these other README files here. These backup files. I could do that with any of these other backup files right here. Okay. But again, gang, we CD'd here, and if I didn't have this line 28, it would still be in this Python subdirectory. I don't want that. Okay. All right, so that's all fine and dandy. I can back it up. I can do, oh, well, let's go double check. So here we are in Python. I'm going to do a refresh here, just Control R, and take a look at that README file here. So today's date is 11/27, and you could see that at roughly 6:14, 11/27, and notice that it included the comments, right? It included the comments here. So this message was directly due to the fact that we created a timestamp, and we included in that timestamp, we captured user comment, and then our commit is including the timestamp with the comment, and that's how we got this. Okay. See, you notice that Bitbucket provides 2 minutes ago, provides a date here, 3 hours ago, another date, but I want it specific. I want to know exactly when this was pushed and what the comments were. And I see that it's right there, right? Based upon what we did here. These lines of code right here. Okay? All right. That's fine and dandy, but like I said, I got a lot of repositories. So I don't want to keep calling each one of these individually. I don't want to keep having to call backup individually, for LIS 4369, for LIS 4368, LIS 4331, and every other repo that I want to back up. I don't want to do that. So what do I do to make life a little bit easier? Well, I could do something like this. And let me get that file here. Okay, anything else I want to show here? No, we're done with this. So let me get my main backup file here, which I think that you'll find uh, interesting. So let me just do that here. Let me grab this. And let me show you what we got. All right. I can make this a little bit larger. And then I could do this as well. All right. So, gang, instead of invoking this command, what I had here hiding from you was to invoke this command. And that will back up all of my repositories. All right. So the file that I'm looking at is right here. Now let me explain this to you. So, and also it's located in, just so you know, it's located in roaming. And here's the file, backup all. Okay, backup underscore all. And this backup underscore all file will go out to wherever the directory is that I want to back up. It'll go to that directory and then return back to roaming to pick up another one of these backup files. Let's look at the code. Here it is. Just a couple things. Talk about the -n right here. So when we do the read command here, this bash script, line 4, read the -n stands for stop reading after the integer number of characters have been read. What does that mean? Well, the user is only going to type in a Y or an N. So I'm going to stop reading after the user types in whatever character. And by the way, the dirty little secret is if they type in anything other than upper or lowercase y, it's going to go to the next command. And that would be this one, 4381, 4381 student files, blah, 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 blah. And the printf, by the way, just inserts a new line. So let's look at 1. And once you get 1, you'll get the other ones. Notice the first thing that I do. Okay? So no matter where I am, when I call this, no matter where I am, the first thing that it will do when I call this is that when I call the backup file, and I could call it from a relative path, by the way, too, on this machine. I can call it from a relative path. I can call it from an absolute path as well. But I'm calling it here, this call right here is assuming that I'm in that particular directory. But if I'm calling it and I'm not in this directory, look what the first command does. It first makes sure that I'm CDing to my roaming directory. So it's going to force me to be in this directory to grab this file and then any other of the other files as well too. All right, so that's the first thing. It changes directory. Now, Read, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read for the first value. And I'm expecting if the user wants to back up, they're going to type a Y. If not, they're going to type an N. But if they type in anything else, by the way, it'll still work, even if it's not an N. So the hyphen N stops after the first character is being typed. And then the hyphen P, what that does, it will, again, I can type whatever I want on the same line. If I didn't put a hyphen P here, it would uh, jump to the next line. And I don't want to do that. I want to type on the same line. All right, let's go to what's going on here. So I'm doing an if structure here. Okay, if in this variable do it, okay, here's my variable. I prompt the user. I said, do I want to back up Emacs, Y or N? I put into this variable do it. Well, if do it contains a uppercase or lowercase y, then I'm going to say I'm backing up Emacs. I'm going to prompt the user telling that I'm backing up Emacs. Behind the scenes on line 9, what it's doing is actually pulling in this Emacs backup file. Now, I'm not going to go through that because I just went through the backup of the Python file, which it's very similar to that as well. Okay? So you saw the Python file. You could do the same thing with any other your other repos and then create this backup all file like I'm showing you right here. So it's going to call that, and then it's going to end that particular if statement. So if, and then phi, meaning end that if. And then I'm going to go to a new line, and then it's going to say, do you want to back up LIS 4381? And if it's Y or lowercase y or uppercase y, it's going to go to that file and pull that. And by the way, gang, notice here it is a little bit different. I'm using the Unix method of pulling in the file, and that is period. So again, period / means that this file backup underscore Emacs resides in this current directory. So the backup Emacs is right here. It resides in this current directory, right? The 4381 resides in this current directory right here, okay? And that's what that period / means. It means current directory. Behind the scenes, gang, every time one of these files is invoked, and I'll show this again with the Python file, and I already talked about it, but I'll show it one more time. Every time that file is invoked, that particular file, backup Emacs, backup 4381, backup student files, every time, backup Python, every time what it does is it automatically returns the user to the previous or current, in other words, the previous directory, wherever they were at before that. And wherever they were at before that is always going to be, because the files are located in my roaming subdirectory, cd space hyphen is always going to return back to the roaming directory. Okay, it's always going to return back to that roaming directory. So that's why I can keep running these commands, because every one of these files, backup Emacs, backup LIS 4381, returns it back to the previous directory, and my previous directory is roaming. So let's go through this. CD to roaming. Here's my back. Let me do it a little bit larger for you. Here's my backup for Emacs. There's my backup Emacs file. Print new line character. There's my backup for 4381. There's my backup for 4381 student files. This is my backup for Python. My backup for 4368 student files, blah, 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 blah. And at the very end, I'm backing all this up. I do the same command here in this one, in my backup all MD file, and that is I return it back to the previous directory. What's the previous directory? roaming. Okay? So you probably want to see this run. Well, I'm going to show it to you right now. I'm going to invoke this command. I'm in git bash. I already did Python. I'm going to clear this so you can see what's happening. And then I'm going to insert this backup all. So / space backup all .md. Backup Emacs. Nah, I don't need to back that up right now. Backup alias 4381. Yeah, I'll do that. I don't remember if I needed to or not, but I'll just type Y. There's my commit comment, right? Just like in the Python. Notice it tells me that I'm backing up 4381. That's from that script. And the PWD from the backup file of 4381 is saying, hey, this is your present working directory. Fine, perfect. I know where I'm at. I'll just say, I'll make a generic one, latest backup. Okay, latest backup. And it's going to ask me for my password. And there it is. Notice that there's nothing to commit. The working tree is clean. But notice it also showed me my git remote -v that I showed you about. It shows me where I'm fetching from and pushing to, which is important. I hit enter there, and everything is up to date. And it goes back that cd space hyphen, it's showing me that I'm back to my roaming directory. Okay, do I want to back up student files? No. Python? No. alias 4368? No. The student files are 4368? No. 4331? No. 3781? No. Do I want to back up my programming directory? Yeah, I think so. I got some stuff there, I think. Again, I'll just do latest backup. You generally would want to make it a little bit more precise than that, but even if you did that, you're still backing it up, right? It's got a timestamp. And I hit enter because it's in a different subdirectory, different repo. It's going to ask me for password again. And there I have it. Do I want to back up my .NET? No. And I'm done. So it backed up all of these repos. Everything from, and they're all over my, by the way, gang, they're all over my machine. So my 4381 backup is going to be a different path than my Python. My 4381 student files is going to be different from my 4381. My 4381 student files is going to be different from my main 4381. My 3781, my 4331, they're all going to be in different directories. And the magic that happens, and again, what I'm doing right here is I'm opening up, just to show you, I'm opening up the Python backup file to show you what has to be done at the very top. At the very top, the first thing we need to do is find out where that subdirectory, where that repo is, and cd to that repo. Notice I'm using an absolute path too. I'm not using a relative path. I'm using an absolute path. Now you could use a relative path, but for me it's easier just to grab that path by going in here and just going to the address bar. I open up my repository, I grab the address bar, and I just paste it. I want to cd to my Python repo. Okay? And you need to use that cd command on every one of these backups so that it properly changes directory to that particular repo that you want to back up. All right, gang, I hope this was helpful. Again, this is not mandatory, so you don't have to watch this, and you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I think you'll find that it'll save you a lot of time when you're backing up your stuff. And you always need to back up your stuff, gang, because something can happen to your computer. You could lose your data, the computer gets stolen. This is a great way to back up all your files. All right, gang. See you all in class.